What I'm going to do here is to remake the wiring loom itself. This is the original loom out of the car. As you can see, it's the cloth wrapping's just disintegrated. The wiring, very hard to tell what the colours are on most of the wires. They've all sort of blended into the pretty much sort of a yellowy sort of a colour, so I don't know what the wires, individual wires are. This is the main part of the loom, which goes from the regulator and fuse box in the engine bay into the car, and also there was a section coming off here which went to which was cut off, which went down towards the bottom of the steering column to pick up the trafficators and also take wirings to the lights and to the rear of the car. Now, these are the sections I'm about to remake. I've never remade a complete wiring loom, but I basically know how it's done. I won't be able to do the cloth wrapping. I mean, if you really want that, pay to get it done. It'd be worth the money you have to pay. But at this stage, I'm going to make my own. I'm going to change a few things. Instead of having all of the power running through the switches for lights, horns and things, I'm putting a set of relays in. So I'll have separate relays for the horn, wipers, heater, fan, high beam, low beam and the spotlights. So that will take the heavy amperage out of the switches themselves. So I'll actually be making a fuse box, which I'll position in the engine bay, and not a fuse box, a relay box with fused relays. So that will take most of the power through the relays instead of through the wiring. So it will be a little bit different. I'll put trafficators, indicators in conjunction with the trafficators, but I'll be using LED flashes, so reducing the current draw on the system. Now, I do have a wiring diagram of sorts. It's out of a publication, and what I've done, seeing I can't identify what's in this wiring loom other than the shape of it, what I've done is actually take the diagram here and draw up my own schematic of what should occur in the wiring loom. So I've got regulators and the fuse box here, and then I've run where I think all the wires will go, what the actual colours are according to the wiring diagram. So I'll be using this to determine what the colour codes are of the wires, and which wires go where and what they're for, and I'll be using what's left of the wiring loom to determine the shape. Now, I've already bought a new colour-coded wire. I've got my relays, and what I'll also be using to set out the loom is a wiring board. Now, what I've done is I've made up this particular board, and what it does, it duplicates the firewall. So I have on here the regulator, the original fuse block, and I've actually drawn on here the shape of the loom and where it will go to and what connects to it. So this is the extent of the loom inside the engine bay, and on the other side I actually have the rest of the loom drawn, which is the remaining part of the loom which goes inside the car up to the instrument panel with the terminal blocks for all of the switching gear and so on, and it also has the wiring loom that goes across to the other passenger side of the car and connects up with the main power takeoff, which comes off the solenoid. in the engine bay, as I said, I'll put a relay box. At this stage the relay box will go somewhere near the solenoid, so I'll be taking the main power straight from the solenoid into the relay box, and then off to the various components that are driven by the relays. That is instead of running all of the main current draw through the wiring system and through the original fuse box. So what I'll end up doing is I'll assess the need for the heavy fuses in here. I mean, we've got what are they? 25 and 35 amp fuses stuck in here. I won't need that sort of fusing in there when I'm finished rewiring, because the main current draw for things like headlights and so on will be going through separately fused relays, which are these. So at this stage I've drawn up what I believe to be the description of the wires in this wiring loom, and what I'll now be doing is putting each individual wire onto the board in the shape of the loom, and then when I'm satisfied that that's all correct and I've actually identified the end points of the wires, what they go to, I'll tag all of those, and I'll put terminals on them. So when I've reached that stage, then I'll probably wrap the loom up, and I'll see what I can use for that. Now, the work on the wiring loom is progressing slowly. You can see where I've actually now been able to get most of the wires in. I've labelled them all as to where they go onto regulator or the original fuse box. I've got the points where they come out. These ones here go to the rear of the car. These go onto the reverse switch, trafficator. On the back side of this board I have the wiring loom that comes inside the car, the piece that goes to the dashboard there. Most of it's in place now. I've still got a few bits to do. Mainly, I've fitted spotlights to this, or will be fitting spotlights, and as I've said, I'm putting a relay box on the passenger side of the car over near where the solenoid is. So I've got to work out how I power that and where the switching wires come from, and I've just been working through that. It's been very handy to draw up. As I said before, I'd drawn schematics of the actual loom as I thought it should be, because I couldn't actually figure that out from the original wiring here. The colour coding wasn't able to be seen. And what I've found is, by using my schematic, rechecking with the circuit diagram, I'm gradually piecing it all together. Now, I guess I'll have one chance of getting this right, because once I tape the loom up, it's really too late. So what I've been doing is, as I've run the wires according to my schematic, I've gone back to check on the circuit diagram to make sure I've actually got the right wire going to the right location. So hopefully, if I've done this right, I should end up with the loom correct. So at this stage it's progressing reasonably well. I've started to work on the design of the relay box. This stage I've got 6 relays. I'll probably put in an additional relay for a Thermo fan for the radiator. So I've got to work out how I'll position the relays within the box, where the power feeds come in and so on, and then make sure the box is of the right size so it actually fits on the inside of the engine bay, and it'll be sitting on this part of the firewall in the engine bay. The heater, fan, and so on come on a shelf at that level. This is where the wiring loom will come from inside the car, and in here I'll actually have my my relay box. So this stage I've just started to run the wires, the feed wires into the relay box, and then I've actually got to design the box itself to make sure it fits all the components. So that's progressing reasonably well. So I'll just keep going with this, make sure I get it right, and the last thing I'll do when I've finally checked everything off against the circuit diagram, I'll start to tape up the loom. I'll also look at preparing all of the endpoints for insertion into the terminals. Most of these are just straight wires into a terminal which are tightened down by screw. I'll probably bare off the ends of these wires and solder them so it's a nice solid joint into the fuse box and regulator. And as for the other bits, I'll be using spade terminals in the relay area and different terminals in different parts of the car, so I'll fit all those on as well. The relay box has been made up. Now I've made a cover for it, which I actually haven't mounted properly yet, but mounted all of the relays, fuse relays, junction box. I've run the wiring, new wiring loom in behind this. This will be mounted on the firewall just near the heater blower, heater blower goes in around here. While I've been at it, I've set this up the way it appears on the firewall. So the starter solenoid will sit just to the right of the relays, and then I've decided to put a cutout fuse in the main system. So there's a 50 amp cutout device there. The horns will actually fit in here, so this will be accessible on the side of the horn, so if the system does go out you can reset it, or if you want to actually disconnect it, you can disconnect it there. Now the rest of the wiring for the main loom has been done. I've put connectors where they go. I've finished off the ends of the wires so they actually go into the terminals on the original fuses and the regulator. On the other side of the firewall, which is just in here, I've actually mounted the junction boxes, or junction strips I guess you call them, that fit on the back of the dash. They're down the bottom there. I've fitted turn indicator relays for LED turn indicators. So the loom is finished except for actually taping it up, which is what I'm going to start doing in a minute. The actual taping up of the wiring loom didn't take all that long. When I used this particular tape, I suppose you can use any brand, doesn't really matter. It's a cloth tape. I thought I'd use a lot more, but as you can see, there's a full roll, and I probably used 3/4 of a roll, which is not bad for the main part of the wiring loom. So this is a bit that goes inside the dash and down into the engine bay. It doesn't go to the rear of the car, that'll be a separate section. I'm quite pleased with the way it came up. Not, I guess, completely as original, because the original one would have been a woven cloth, which I can't reproduce, but quite acceptable, quite neat, and I'll store that away now, ready to put in the car when I'm installing all the electrics.